Hey everyone, I'm here from Bold Logic running through our market analysis this evening. Finally, we get something to talk about. The market decided to finally move after a week of consolidation. It decided to pick a direction. Unfortunately, that direction was down, but hey, that's okay. We just got to figure out what's going to happen next and what we're going to do about it. I believe it came out that maybe all of the stimulus package in Europe and US and China, maybe it's going to cause problems. Maybe it's not actually going to fix what the real problem is. Go figure, you throw a bunch of money at it, it's not going to fix the problem. Who would have thought that? So things are looking a little bit more bleak than people thought, a week ago. So we get a little bit of a sell-off here. S&P down 1%. Still holding a strong support here at that 1440 level. It's also got that 20-day moving average. I'd actually expect it to push through that tomorrow. I wouldn't expect us to see it bounce right away. We'll probably blow through it and then see if we can't pull back above it. Usually when we're looking at big stocks or indexes, they won't actually hold support and resistance lines to the T like you would see a smaller stock. They're actually going to blow through it a little bit and then reverse back in. For example, when we look at this candle up here where we pushed through this line and then we actually pulled back before we broke through. Again, over here when we pushed it through. So things aren't so cut and dry when looking at an index, so I would expect us to pull through that 20-day moving average tomorrow and maybe even down to that 1430 level and see if we can't find some support right there before we stabilize a little bit more. NASDAQ was really hurt. It actually finished below the 20-day moving average right at its lows. Starting to get a little into the oversold territory, so we'll have to see if we can't come to that support level right here, that previous breakout level. Big move in Apple today. Again, something else went through that 20-day moving average. Again, finished at the lows, down 2.5%. We'll probably have to see if that's going to come down tomorrow. I would expect a support line at that 655 level. See if that can't hold. Be a nice little topping pattern, maybe the beginning of a head and shoulders. We get the head here coming down and then form a shoulder before we break through, which will coincide with a 50-day moving average break. So something to watch out for. It is selling out pretty hard, so we'll have to see if we can get an oversold balance going into the couple of days, maybe even the next week. Russell 2000, as we were talking about that support line, it did break through, obviously. Stopped right on that 20-day moving average. Again, with the Russell, I believe that we will break through that 20-day moving average going into tomorrow. So definitely something to watch out for. I'm not going to expect bounces in these from early morning just out of nowhere. I would expect us again to shoot through, maybe hit our next support before we really stabilize and bounce. Transports again pulled up into that lower trend line here, and then we sold off. This has been the real teller here. The real key is these transports, so we definitely need to keep this on watch. It is still very oversold, so we definitely want to see a sideways move, maybe bring us back into normal territory here. It's going to be hard for them to really push lower, being already so oversold. So I have to see if we can get a sideways move, maybe a dead cat bounce. Bonds are looking strong, passed through that 200-day moving average, now pushing through the 20-day moving average. They are overbought, so we could see a slight pullback here on that 20-day moving average before they decide to push a little bit higher. VIX, as we've been talking about, has been down in the 13s, 14 level. We did say that it'll range between the 13 and 17, at least our belief, towards the end of the year. It is now up in the 15s. It had a big 10 or 9% day. Hopefully, somebody paid attention to my post last night, or I'm sorry, this morning, about time to pick up premium, where we talked about buying the VIX. We actually did take a position in that this morning. We bought some VIX options, and we're up over 20% in those right now, and let's see if we can get a little bit more. VVIX coming off the $80 range. This is the volatility of the VIX. Go figure. We were talking about how anything in the 80s is usually a buy. Obviously, this time was no different, as we are now in the upper 90s with an 8% move today. Oil is still getting pushed down. It had a nice bear flag into that 50-day moving average, where it is now sold off. Again, this is another oversold stock, so we definitely need to see if we can't move sideways and maybe get a The dead cat bounce, maybe another push back into that 50-day moving average. I can't see this getting much lower just because it is already very oversold. But obviously, as we can tell back here, sometimes that just doesn't matter. So what are we going to do for the S&P? Well, we are still holding the support, but it looks like we're going to blow through. We need to maybe start looking a little bit more defensive here. We don't really want to load up on longs. You can start trying out some short positions. I'm not going to get too heavy into the shorts, but I will try a couple here and there, especially if we break through that 20-day moving average. Again, cash is king. Cash is a position. Don't feel that you have to be totally invested your whole portfolio into something all the time. There's nothing wrong with sitting on the sidelines and waiting to see if something's going to set up better, especially if we come down to that 1430 level or the 1420 level. This will be perfect time to try out some long positions and see if we can't get any bounces. Tomorrow we don't have many economic reports, even though the economic reports that came out today were all very positive. Tomorrow we just got the new home sales at 10 a.m. Eastern time, so we'll just have to see if that's going to affect anything. But again, I expect a little bit more downside here, at least before we run into some more support areas. Good luck trading tomorrow, everyone. We'll see you then.